me ask you, like, as an entrepreneur, I don't have children yet, so this could be, kind of some mentorship, advice. How do you balance that, right? Because where I'm sitting now at the moment, it's just like I'm so obsessed with this, like I'm all the time, right? So, I have a girlfriend, and even sometimes that, like, she's very understanding, but this is an obsession. So how do you balance that now, adding children in the mix and still being able to see them grow, be there for them, but still, being that masculine essence you are, head of the household, being able to go out and do what you do?
I think it comes down to just simplifying the scope and also your lens. Like, what do you prioritize, right? And as an entrepreneur, sometimes we get lost into busy work versus productive work. And
Mhm.
sometimes we get obsessed with the busy work that's really not producing a whole lot. So that you actually have time for those other things in your life, right? And another thing that I realize is that if I incorporate my kids, so this is a perfect example. So I had a multi-million dollar clothing brand many years ago. It's
Mhm.
called Lord Major Apparel. It's very successful at its height. Deviated from it, went into a different direction. But fast forward a few years ago, I launched Toji, which is a faith-based clothing brand, which is called the Only Superstar is Jesus. That's the acronym. And I didn't have much time for it, but I knew that my son liked the brand. So I essentially just gave him the brand, labeled him as the creative director, and made him a co-founder, and told him to go have at it. What that did was it allowed me to incorporate my family. So when I'm working on the clothing brand side of things, my son is right there with me, and my other son is right there with me. And on the flip side of that, there's cameras placed all over that's capturing those moments of us working together. So not only are they experiencing, when they see the playback, the endorphin and what happens in their mindset when they see that, it makes them want to do it even more so. And it makes it make sense when I'm describing how important it is for us to do things as a family, for us to work together, for us to be selfless, and also to build what we're building to be more so of a service to others versus just building it just for us to just take all the rewards and benefits of it. So it just comes down to prioritizing the reality of what you're really doing, because a lot of people get jaded by the busy work versus the productive work. And my productive work, 3 hours can eclipse and surpass anybody who's been working 18 hours a day. 3 hours of my work can surpass a person because there's true outcome from that work in those 3 hours. And that's the hugest difference. Just that acknowledgement.
Mhm. Yeah, I love the idea with your son and how you've done that, because it's so strategic, but it's so smart. I love that, being able to, have your family and then you're documenting on top, a little bit similar with us in terms of documenting everything. It's like it's with the family. So it just naturally becomes a part of who we are and what we do, and that we can do it as a business. So with one question is, you said you grew up without your father. What do you think the difference is now navigating in the world the way you did and what you had to go through to get where you are, and then your children, because I think right now more than ever, children need their fathers, and daughters the most and sons the most. Right now, more than ever in society, the father is everything within the home. And when I say everything, in terms of a big part into who someone becomes, right? Or who someone cannot become. So what's the difference, do you think, that you can start to see when your kids keep growing up that they'll have that you didn't?
I think so. There are a variety of elements that exist now that obviously didn't exist when I was growing up in my era. And a while back, there was a gentleman that was interviewing me, and
Calling all high level entrepreneurs, you're a CEO, you're determined, you have a vision, and you're so busy right now. You're so busy and overwhelmed with what you love, and it's actually a good thing. You're focused on that. We want you focused on that as much as possible, but at the same time, you need to grow your brand on LinkedIn. It's as vital as ever, right? The person who gets the deal is the person who's the most visible. It's not being about good at what you do. So we are having an opportunity with our waiting
waiting list for all CEOs and high-level entrepreneurs who want to be able to grow their personal brand and garner opportunities, be able to speak in front of thousands of people, for you to be able to get inbound leads, enhance your sales team. You need to build a brand. When they come on your LinkedIn profile, whatever they see is so vital, and we are on the forefront of that, bringing up a new product to help you do exactly just that. Stand out in the marketplace with your personal brand, because it's you. People want to know you, the CEO. They want to know in behind you, and they want to be inspired by you. So when you supply that, you become the expert and you stand out. Join the waiting list so you can get access, inclusive insights in our WhatsApp community. See you soon.
We're just going down memory lane of our childhood and the areas that we grew up in. I'm originally from Dallas, Texas. And his eyebrows went up. He was like, "Oh, Texas, I know it had to be interesting." And I was like, why did you say that?" And the first thing he said to me was like, it's really racist in Texas. There's a lot of rednecks in Texas. And I'm sure, you've probably heard the N-word a million times. And he was perplexed because I told him during my childhood, I had never had the N-word ever said to me. And what he didn't understand is that it's not that it didn't exist in Texas, because I'm sure it did and it does. It's just that I never strayed out of my community, right? And a lot of people don't understand that context. I was just like, I didn't experience it because we had our local park, we had our local grocery store, we had our local car wash. So we had everything in our little section, and we didn't have a car, right? So our dynamic was a lot different. So it kind of saved me in a sense to go and experience some of those things on the outskirts that were probably in those other communities. But what I will say is one of the biggest differences is that the access to information. We've always had a certain degree through books and TV networks of news that we used to trust. But the access to information is a lot different now, which could trump your work and your efforts with your kids. No different than if you send them off to a school and they have different views and different teachers that are teaching different philosophies that are different from your household. And so it's kind of like you have to double down on your presence with your kids. And I think that's the biggest difference, because it's a tug of war for their attention. Mm-hmm. Their attention span is already very short these days with everything that's out there, with social media, with these devices, and just with different ideologies out there. You really have to figure out creative ways to resonate with your kids, but then you have to rinse and repeat and continue to do it over and over again. And so what you'll realize as a parent, it can become exhausting, right? But if you truly care about your child and you know what lies ahead for them, you're gonna go out there, you're gonna go and put your best foot forward and continue to do it, because there's no science to it. There's no one way to do it. Every one of my kids' personality is different, so I have to parent them very differently. But I would just say the biggest difference is just that the access to information is a lot more broader, which could make your job a little bit harder. The programming in some of the television shows as well. I heard my young 5-year-old jokingly, of course, he was fighting with his brothers, and he told his older brother, he's running behind him, "Come here, pretty boy. Come here, pretty boy." Just like taunting him. I'm like, how did you learn to taunt? What cartoon did you get that from? Like, so it was comical, but it goes to a bigger thing that's out there, that it's possible to influence your kids when you're not around. Because I don't say that. I don't know where the heck he got that from, right? So I just think the access to information is the biggest difference, and it creates a different kind of challenge for a parent, parent properly and fully with so much that exists out there when it comes to information.
Yeah, I think even just what you said there about your son is powerful, right? Like environment and what they pick up, and like even at my older age, everything in my environment, I'm totally very cautious of, right? If and negative vibrations, anything, and I'm actually learning not to run away from it. Like sometimes you just may be around a negative person, but still you're very cautious of it. So, at that young age, right? You can imagine, especially the agendas and things that are getting pushed out in the world. And for me, like I always say, like, look, people are fine to do what they want to do and what they want to push. That's what we're building now. We're building our network where we are, being able to teach these things. But like you said, you have to be very cautious, especially with children.
Make sure you take the time to like, share, and subscribe. Go and hit the subscribe button so we can keep giving you guys content, so you guys can be notified as soon as we drop some news and information that's really going to help you. And then another thing, guys, and by the way, subscribing, it doesn't cost any money, nothing, no dollars. Just go in there, hit the subscribe button. Again, Spotify, make sure you download our episodes on Spotify. We are exclusive to Spotify because we are getting that deal.
If you really enjoyed this video, make sure to click here, and I'm sure you're gonna love that one.